Okay, welcome to today's trading session. It's on the XP3 product line. My name is Mark, and I'm the Canadian Master Distributor for XP3 for Canada. So we'll jump right into our presentation for XP3. So XP3 is an industrial strength, commercial grade fuel additive product that your customers may not be aware of, that in the world of additives, there's retail consumer grade products and industrial strength commercial grade products. So retail consumer grade products are used by consumers or end users, and industrial strength commercial grade products are used by industry. So what we're talking about is pure professional grade versus diluted consumer grade additives. A bit of background, XP3 is manufactured by XP Lab. They're based out of San Diego, California, recently moved to an industrial zone in Poway, California. And their history started with creating solutions for ocean freighters around water in the fuel, poor combustion, carbonization, deposits, and eventually grew to other solutions specifically for fleets, bulk transport, bulk storage. They started in 1989, so they're about 30, been in the business for about 30 years. It's also a generational company, so the father that started the business has handed it over to his son, and I've personally been to their plant many times over the years, and it's a world-class facility. It's ISO certified as well. So XP3 is used globally by industry. When you're talking about a refinery grade product that is available to the public through our network of authorized and trained dealers, we're talking about a product that companies who are using XP3 in their operations have it built into their manuals as operating procedures to protect against fuel-related problems. Those could be related to water, moisture, deposits, and recently issues around the new Tier 4 equipped engines like diesel exhaust fluid consumption, DPF filter long-term life, and regen cycles. Those are common problems that if the fuel that is being consumed is not clean or not at a high standard, it will cause so many different problems with the Tier 4 emission controlled components of your engines. So XP3 treats over 4 billion liters of fuel every year in more than 28 countries. The manufacturer also provides a written guarantee that it will not void manufacturer's warranty. For the life of XP3, there has not been an attempted claim of any damage of any kind. And the reason is XP3 improves the ASTM specification of the fuels, which is the opposite direction of having potential problems for warranty and engine issues. So if anything, because the XP3 product makes that fuel better, everything just runs smoother and better. And again, some customers want to see that it's Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4 diesel engine compliant, and it does not void warranty. So we have a product for diesel, actually 3 different products for diesel and 1 for gasoline. So our diesel product, the bestseller, is the all-in-one, all seasons, good for across the board to be used all season for any compression ignition engine. We also have a gas product that has a cult-like following in the power sports, motorsports, sports car, classic car world. This gasoline product is good for any spark ignition engine, 2-stroke or four-stroke, regular daily drivers, or high compression engines. The two diesel specialty blends that we have is the all-in-one cetane boosted version of XP3 Diesel. It's basically the same product as our all-in-one all-season, but it has a cetane booster component into it. Uh, we recommend the cetane boosted product for engines or equipment running under continuous heavy load. And then we have the Extreme Winter product. The Extreme Winter product is a specialty blend that's used to convert summer diesel into winter diesel, or for mission critical application, it can convert winter diesel to Arctic grade polar diesel. The use cases for this extreme winter product would be transport or trucking companies that are going down to the US, California, Texas, Florida, Arizona, and coming back up with US summer fuel. They would definitely need this product when they're coming back into the Canadian climate. Or if you have fire trucks, ambulances, ice road truckers, diesel gensets for municipalities, you would want to have over-the-top protection, which we call mission critical, and they might want to have their diesel rated for Arctic grade polar diesel for mission critical applications. We recommend dealers only stock the XP3 all-in-one, the bestseller, as well as some XP3 gasoline. And if you have a customer who's looking for a specific application, you could just simply let them know that you'll special order the cetane boosted version of XP3 or the extreme winter version of XP3 for them, and we could usually get that out to you within 1 or 2 weeks. Part numbers, we made it very simple. The letter stands for the product that it treats, or what the product is, and then the number for the amount of fuel the container treats. So G is for gasoline, D is for diesel, DC is for diesel cetane, DW for diesel extreme winter. An example would be the part number D4000 is the XP3 diesel that treats 4,000 liters. The G570 is the XP3 gasoline that treats 570 liters. So if you have a customer that calls in to ask for a part number related to the XP3 product line, it's very simple, quick, and easy to know what they're talking about with the letter and number part numbering convention that we've implemented. So what are the main functions of the XP3 product? Here we're talking about the XP3 Diesel specific, which shares the common functionality with our gas product, except for the anti-gel and lubricity. So primarily, first, it provides deposit control detergents, which helps dissolve gumming, sludge, and deposits to keep all of the internal engine components clean and to its original factory specification. What we sometimes see is users that start treating their fuel with XP3 will notice two performance bump gains. Number one, in the better combustion of the fuel, they'll notice that. And then secondly, over 3 or 4 or 5, 6 tanks, as the carbon deposit gets broken down and cleaned up, the fuel to air mix ratio becomes back to original factory specification, which then gives that engine better performance. Because if you have a thin layer of carbon in your combustion chamber, the air to fuel mix ratio will have an impact or effect on performance, especially on the new engines that are computer controlled and everything is electronically controlled. Stability improvers. XP3 is extremely well at stabilizing and purifying fuels. The combustion improver, so by having a more complete burn, you can produce more power and less emissions or unburnt hydrocarbons. Lubricity improvers, the XP3 diesel uses the right kind of lubricator in the right quantity to lubricate and protect the entire fuel system. For cold weather operability, there's anti-gel cold flow improvers, which on the XP3 all-in-one diesel product provides 10 degrees of extra protection, which in our opinion is sufficient for the Canadian fuel supply or the Canadian marketplace, unless you are going into a southern climate in the US and coming back up with their fuel. In that case, you would need the extreme winter product, which gives you 25 to 35 degrees Celsius of extra cold weather protection. This is probably the most important aspect of any additive, is its ability to manage water and moisture in the fuels. By being able to correctly manage water and moisture, you're optimizing that fuel. Bio content in diesel and ethanol content in gasoline causes that fuel to be agroscopic. What that means is the air that is exposed in the tank will, the fuel will suck moisture out of the air, and the parts per million, so in diesel fuel as an example, you're allowed 400 parts per million for the fuel to be considered spec fuel. That's 400 parts per million of water content. As the fuel absorbs moisture from the air in the tank, that ppm will go up and potentially cause that fuel to become out of spec and cause other problems. Now, the biggest fear of any diesel fleet operation that has storage tanks is microbacterial infestation. So these are live microorganisms that live between the layer of diesel and water and feed on the oxygen in the water and replicate. Some people refer to it as algae or sludge. It's black, it'll clog up your fuel filters, choke your engine of fuel supply, and cause all sorts of problems, and it's very, very difficult to get rid of. If you do have clients that are experiencing microbacterial infestation in their fuel, we have a biocide eradicator product that is special order only that can clean up those types of problems. And XP3 has a positive ROI. So for an input cost of 3 to 4 cents per liter for your customer to treat their fuel, they can expect to gain 4 to 8% better fuel economy. So it literally costs more to not use it than to use it. This is a visual representation of the market segments that we serve. The off-road heavy equipment agriculture segment is the most popular that we've had the most success with, probably because they are the ones that have fuel storage, transport, slip tanks, etc. And also on the power sports, motorsports, small engine, sports car, high performance, on the gasoline side, we have a cult-like following with people that have tried every product on the market. They've tried every type of fuel, additive, different manufacturers, different octane levels, and every time we have testimonials and feedback from customers, from classic cars to snowmobile racers to motocross racers, that the XP3 just wakes up their engine, and they absolutely swear 100% by it. So if you personally have small engines or power sport equipment, marine, definitely give the XP3 gasoline product a try. A lot of people by default are using a product called Seafoam, and we'll show you in a further slide what is in the product, but essentially in layman's terms, XP3 gasoline is a seafoam killer. It's 10 times better than Seafoam, which we can actually demonstrate, and it's 3 times cheaper. So it's a no-brainer choice for the informed user of additives. So when you take a look at retail consumer grade products, and this is stuff that you find at truck stops, Canadian Tire, Princess Auto, regular stores, the reason why they're classified as retail consumer grade products is because the majority of them contain diluting fillers like hydrocarbons, petroleum distillates, and other non-functional compounds because they are intended for the retail consumer, not the industrial, bulk, or professional application users. The same thing applies that if you were to hire a cleaning company to clean your warehouse floors, well, they're not going to Walmart to buy, a bottle of Mr. Clean. They're using an industrial grade cleaner that they bought from an industrial supplier that is super concentrate to get that job correctly done. So same thing applies in the world of fuel additives. And again, retail consumers have been trained by the market that something that is larger and bigger with a lower price point will give you a false sense of value because we've been trained that the bigger the bottle, the lower the price. Oh, it feels like a good purchase. Industrial grade products are usually exactly opposite of that. They're smaller containers, higher concentrate, better performing solutions, and oftentimes the cost per application or per treatment is sometimes lower than retail consumer grade diluted products. When you factor in the cost of adding the diluted product into the bottle, the larger bottle, the extra weight and space required for storage, transportation from the blending facility to the warehouse, from the warehouse to the regional distributor, from the regional distributor to the local reseller warehouse to then the local store, the majority of the cost in a lot of these retail consumer grade additive products is freight and packaging. So I'll just share with you here, when a refinery takes light crude oil and they put it through their process, 20 to 30% of light crude is sold to the market as gasoline, and 35 to 55% is sold to the market as heavy fuel. Heavy fuel can be considered diesel, sometimes aviation fuel, and other products, heating fuel as well. The stuff in the middle that the refinery cannot sell as gasoline or diesel is a distillate fuel. And what we found is petroleum-based compounds that the refinery that can't sell to the marketplace as gasoline or diesel is often used as filler for retail consumer grade products because they will still kind of burn. But if you ask yourself, if the refinery cannot sell it as gasoline or diesel, why are we putting that stuff into products that we're adding to our fuel? So I will help you walk you through 6 different ways to determine any additive's functionality and helping determine if they're retail consumer grade or industrial strength commercial grade. What we suggest when you speak to a client or a user of additives is that whatever they're using right now, ask them if they've done the testing on it, the bench tests. And if they haven't, invite them to go get the bottle or bring the bottle to your shop and do a couple of tests for them, and letting them know that if what they're using is good, then they might not need the XP3 product, but they won't know until they actually run the physical tests. So the first thing that you can do is you check the MSD sheet. Here is an example of House, which is a common diesel additive that you see mostly at truck stops across North America. The first and third ingredient, petroleum distillate, 40 to 70% plus 10 to 30%. The majority of what is in this product is a petroleum distillate. And like we saw in the previous slide, that's the byproduct that the refinery cannot sell as gasoline or diesel, and often finds itself in retail grade additives. Now you'll see that the second ingredient is a solvent. That's probably where the House product helps with anti-gel for winter. But if you were to remove the filler compounds in that product, That big jug of House would be a small little bottle. And again, that would be difficult for a lot of people that are used to buying bigger sized bottles for $15 or $20 to buy a smaller bottle for, $13 or $16, $17. It's difficult to educate the market on the difference between pure concentrate and diluted products. Stanidine is another product you often find at diesel shops. First and third ingredients, again, petroleum distillate, petroleum, 30 to 50% plus 10 to 30%. So the first physical test that you can do is a carbon detergency test. What you're seeing on the screen is the top view of a pop can. On the bottom of aluminum pop cans, there's carbon-based ink, and you would simply make sure that their cans are empty when you do these tests. You would put the cans upside down, put a little bit of XP3 on one can and a little bit of whatever the comparison additive is on the other can, and then slowly agitate it. What this will show you is if the additive has a high carbon detergency value, it will be able to clean up, remove, and break down the carbon deposit. What the XP3 product does is it breaks it down to less than 5 micron size. So what essentially happens is if you go to the URL detergency.xp3.ca, you'll see that test. And the carbon breaks down so small that it's no longer visible to the human eye. So a very powerful ocular test, people to see. The second test is a combustion efficiency. You need a torch to then put the additive on the bottoms of the can on fire to see what kind of combustion efficiency that additive does. Again, be very careful because you're dealing with open flame. You want to have a shop with air circulation and access to a fire extinguisher. Um, if the additive burns dark, dirty, unstable with smoke, or worse, particulate matter emitting from it, it is not high combustion efficiency value. What you want to see is a clean, stable flame with no smoke. So when we've done this test with common retail grade additives that people buy off the shelf, a lot of them emit particulate matter, and that causes problems for the DPF filters to clog up more and additional regen cycles and increased DEF consumption. So customers that are unknowingly uh, putting something in their fuel thinking it gives them a benefit oftentimes will actually be a detriment into what their objectives or goals are for putting the additive in their fuel in the first place. So if you go to burn.xp3.ca, you'll see that test there. Then the post-combustion residue test. What is left behind after it's burnt down? The only thing in a diesel additive that should be left behind is a clean golden colored compound, which is the lubricating agent in the additive. You need to have the right kind of lubricator in the right quantity. If the additive has the incorrect type of lubricating agent, it might create a gumming or sticky residue that's left behind, which could lead to injector stiction or again get caught up in the diesel particulate filter in your emission controlled diesel powered engines. Burn.xp3.ca is the URL to see this test. And water and moisture. This is again probably the most important function of any additive. If the additive has the ability to break down water or moisture or not. If you go to water.xp3.ca, it will give you that test. And similar to what XP3 did to the carbon in the carbon detergency test, XP3 will attack and break down water molecules into less than 5 micron size and fully disperse it in the fuel to eradicate it and move it out of your tank or out of your environment and burn it off, that the engine will not even notice it's been burnt through. So a drop of water in its natural state can go 1,000 times its size in a combustion chamber, which could lead to cracking an injector tip or even worse, mechanical failure. By XP3 breaking down those water molecules to 5 microns or less, 5 microns times 1,000 is so small that the engine won't even know that it's burnt through. So again, I cannot stress the importance of managing water and moisture problems in fuel, both gasoline and diesel. And if your additive that you're using has the ability to break it down, I recommend a second tech validation that if the additive is alcohol-based, you do not want to have alcohol in an additive because the alcohol is volatile. So for the initial treatment, you may see some benefit with an alcohol-based additive, but as soon as the alcohol evaporates because it is volatile, any functional benefit that you've noticed from it will disappear, and the water will fall out of suspension and end up in the bottom of your tank. This second last test is designed to test the ability of an additive to stabilize fuel and restore fouled fuel. This test requires hydrochloric acid, glass test tubes, and proper protection. So do not attempt this unless you know exactly what you're doing. So what you're seeing there is glass test tubes with diesel in it. 2 drops of hydrochloric acid in the test tube will simulate the breaking down and gumming of fuels. And if an additive has the ability to restore the fuel, that shows a high stabilizing factor, which is critical when you have fuel sitting in slip tanks or bulk tanks or yard tanks. You want that fuel to stay stable and not phase separate. So to see this in video format, go to the URL restore.xp3.ca and you'll see that video of that test. And finally, if an additive can provide better fuel economy, it will show up on a dyno as extra power and also will show up on an emission tester as producing less unburnt hydrocarbons into the post-combustion stream component of your engine. So this was testing done at a custom diesel shop called Walls Rod Custom. They had a 6.6 diesel Duramax truck that was deleted and running straight, so there's no computer um, interference in the testing. The truck with regular non-treated fuel produced 834 foot-pounds of torque. When they single dosed XP3 Diesel, it added 11 foot-pounds of torque, and when they double dosed, it added 16 foot-pounds of torque. So you do get an incremental gain by double and triple dosing, but it's not exponential. And again, if somebody is seeking to save money on fuel, the only place that will show you that is on a dyno. The additive will either be able to generate more torque and power or not. And if you want further validation on that, doing an emission test is also validation for it. So at the Advanced Transportation Energy Center at Red River College in Winnipeg, Manitoba, this was a test that was done in conjunction with EcoWest, which is a government-funded consulting firm that helps give advice to municipalities and cities on ways to reduce environmental impact and operational efficiencies. This was on a small 3-cylinder diesel Kubota engine, and they were able to detect a reduction in carbon dioxide and a reduction in unburnt hydrocarbons in their testing. So we do have a clean tech eco-friendly validation from EcoWest, recognized by EcoWest Canada as a clean technology that reduces emissions and improves fuel economy. So if you have customers or governments or municipalities or cities that have a mandate to reduce pollution or reduce emissions, we do have validation from EcoWest on this product line. So the benefits that are gained by using XP3, reduced downtime and maintenance and repairs is a big one. The diesel particulate filter life lasting longer, reducing the regen cycles, reducing DEF consumption is a big one. Injector and injector pumps. So by having the right kind of lubricity in the right quantity will dramatically extend the life of your injectors and your injector pumps. It'll also give you a better spray pattern if everything is clean, and will eliminate stiction related issues. And of course, for cold weather operability in the winter, it provides anti-gel protection against clouding and gelling so that you do not have issues with cold weather operability. This here is just a graphic on in a bulk storage tank. The heavier portion of diesel will go to the bottom of your tank, and where the water and diesel meet, that's where you'll have the microbacterial infestation risk in your bulk fuel tanks. So again, if you're able to break down any water or moisture molecules in that fuel or in that tank down to 5 micron or less and fully disperse it across the full tank, there will be no opportunity for microbacterial infestation to take root, and you will save your customer all of that hassle should they ever experience, which we hope they do not. So the 3 P's for XP3 stands for extra power, extra performance, and extra protection. One thing to note is when you do have a more complete burning of the fuel in the cylinder, you have less heavy metals that seep through the cylinder walls and end up in your oil on the bottom end of your engine. Fleets that use oil sample analysis to trigger oil changes will see up to 25% longer oil life in between the oil change intervals. Again, it's because the fuel burns more completely and you have less heavy metals seeping through the cylinder walls that end up in the bottom end of your engine that would degrade the oil. Well, there's a positive side effect of more complete combustion in a diesel engine. I'll share with you a couple of case studies and then we'll conclude. So we're almost done here, and I appreciate and I thank you for taking the time to learn about the XP3 product line. So this fleet had a truck that ran the same route day in, day out, the same load. They had months and months and months of historical fuel data, and when they added XP3 into the equation, they registered a 7% improvement in fuel economy. So for this fleet, now it depends on what price the diesel fuel is at, but very rough math, for every $100,000 of diesel that they've consumed, they would save $5,000 on fuel after the input cost of XP3. So again, showing a very strong positive ROI. This is another case study. 2 combines, New Holland combines, sister serial numbers, identical spec, identical fields, identical speed in the same fields. The combine that was using the XP3 treated fuel had a fuel economy benefit of 5.49%. So this farmer, again, was able to self-validate that the XP3 product saves him over 5% on his fuel costs. And then lastly, this is another example. This customer had this tractor since it was brand new, had kept fuel economy records since day one, averaging 12 hours of operation per tank in untreated fuel. And when he started using XP3, he gained 2 hours of operation per tank on his tractor. So if you have any customers that are using heavy equipment, farming, ag, off-road, um, they will definitely be able to see uh, an impact on their fuel consumption and performance. So the top two takeaways are: it is critical, it is important to properly frame the conversation when you first start talking to a customer, and you frame it like this. In the world of additives, there's retail consumer grade products and industrial strength commercial grade products. XP3 is the industrial strength, commercial grade version of what you might have seen in the past or might have used in the past. And then you can ask them, what have they used in the past? Or what are they using now? Would they want to bring it in to do a couple of bench tests? And if what they're using is good, then at least they'll know, and they might not need XP3, but they won't know until they get it, do the testing. Secondly is when you talk about cost and pricing, XP3 Diesel costs 3 cents per liter to treat or less, depending on the size and the volume. And then as an example, you can say in your diesel pickup truck, if you put 100 liters of diesel, it would cost you $3 to treat that 100 liters. So always keep the conversation on cost to treat per liter, instead of that jug there is $22, that jug there is $50, that jug there is $100, because the customers are not used to seeing additives in a industrial grade concentrate format, and they're judging the size of the bottle from what they've seen in the past other sizes of bottles. So again, frame the conversation that there's industrial strength commercial grade products and retail consumer grade products in the world of additives, and that XP3 diesel costs 3 cents per liter to treat or less. And this is just a chart. We'll give you the PDF as well. If you don't have it, just send us an email. But it's a handout that has all of the pricing, the part numbers. So here, just quickly, the part number D4000 treats 4,000 liters at a cost of 2.7 liters to treat. So the bottom line, as we conclude, is the informed user of fuel additives will always choose an industrial strength commercial grade product over a retail diluted consumer grade product. The key word in this sentence is informed, and your customers may not know what they don't know, and your job is to inform and educate them so that they can make an informed decision after knowing all of the variables and all of the things to look for when they're choosing an additive. Again, the sales counter reference sheet, we have a PDF of that. If you don't have it, let us know or talk to your branch manager. There's a spot there that you can put your sticker or available at your store, and then you can hand those out to your clients. So since this is a recording, there's no live Q&A, but we typically do that. If you have any questions, feel free to send them to sales@xp3canada.com, or you can also go to our Facebook page, which is available off of our website. So xp3canada.com, on the top right-hand corner, there's links to all the social medias. Shoot us a text on Facebook Messenger if you have any questions, and we'll be more than happy to assist. So thanks again for sitting in and listening to the XP3 Industrial Strength Commercial Grade training. And wishing you a prosperous rest of your day. Thank you.